COP29, an unbelievable step towards a fair and sustainable climate future. COP29 in Azerbaijan, advances in the carbon market and regulation for developing countries. The 29th Conference of the Parties, COP29, held in Azerbaijan, marked a pivotal moment for the progress of global climate policies, with a special focus on the carbon market. Central discussions revolved around the implementation of robust regulations to ensure the integrity of carbon credits, a key tool for achieving the goals of the Paris Agreement. Developing countries played a strategic role in the event, advocating for a system that acknowledges their specific needs and enhances their contributions to climate change mitigation. Despite economic and technical challenges, these nations demonstrated an incredible commitment to adopting innovative and sustainable solutions. One of the most celebrated advances was the strengthening of Article 6 of the Paris Agreement, which regulates the trade of carbon credits between countries. In addition to promoting greater transparency, the new guidelines aim to prevent double counting of emissions and ensure that climate benefits are real and additional. This progress is seen as a milestone for the engagement of developing countries, enabling them to access vital financial resources for energy transition and poverty alleviation. The carbon market, now more regulated and inclusive, promises to be a crucial tool for balancing global responsibilities and driving innovative climate projects in regions that need the most support. COP29 solidified the idea that addressing climate change depends on a collective and fair effort, where all countries, regardless of their economic situation, have a voice and effective participation. History of the Conferences of the Parties, COP, from COP1 to COP29. The Conference of the Parties, COP, is the main decision-making body of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, UNFCCC. Since its establishment in 1995, these annual meetings have brought together global leaders, scientists, environmentalists, and stakeholders to discuss and implement actions related to climate change. Below is a historical overview of key milestones and challenges from the first COP to COP29. COP1, Berlin, 1995. The first COP laid the foundation for future discussions. The Berlin Mandate was adopted, acknowledging that existing commitments under the UNFCCC were insufficient to combat climate change, paving the way for negotiations on the Kyoto Protocol. COP3, Kyoto, 1997. The Kyoto Protocol was the highlight of this conference, establishing legally binding commitments for developed countries to reduce their greenhouse gas emissions. It was a significant step forward, though implementation faced challenges, particularly due to the lack of ratification by some countries, such as the United States. COP15, Copenhagen, 2009. This COP was expected to produce a comprehensive climate agreement, but negotiations were marked by political divisions. The main outcome was the Copenhagen Accord, which introduced the goal of limiting global temperature rise to 2 degrees Celsius but lacked binding force. COP21, Paris, 2015. The Paris Agreement was one of the most significant milestones in COP history. All countries committed to presenting nationally determined contributions, NDCs, and working together to limit global temperature rise to well below 2 degrees Celsius, with efforts to cap it at 1.5 degrees Celsius. COP26, Glasgow, 2021. This conference focused on intensifying climate action and increasing ambition in NDCs. Some progress was made on climate finance and commitments to reduce coal use, but critics argued that promises remained insufficient to meet the Paris targets. COP29, location and year to be determined, based on current context. COP29 will take place in location, aiming to accelerate the implementation of mitigation, adaptation, and climate finance goals outlined in the Paris Agreement. Expected challenges include ensuring international cooperation amidst global crises and providing vulnerable countries with the resources needed to address climate impacts. The COPs have been instrumental in shaping global climate policy, though they face challenges in the practical implementation of commitments. The continuation of these conferences reflects the urgency and importance of collective action in addressing climate change.